Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host here on how to fight CPS and stop taking our children. And it is a very hard thing that you got yourself caught up into, because I know from firsthand experience of what it is to be involved with CPS. Now, I want you all to be calm and relaxed and enjoy this hour. And hopefully there are things I can show you or help you learn how to fight the child protection system. That's what I call CPS, the child protection system. It's a branch of our U.S. government that's mandated by Congress that they're supposed to protect our children from all neglect and all abuse. Further, they're supposed to help you out in needs of food, housing, clothing, transportation, and medical and education, and also to get you a job. Now, if they take apart your family because there's extreme danger taking place, they need to take your children, and most likely they do lately, is that they're supposed to do what's called family reunification. That's where they're supposed to put the family back together. It's best to have both parents, or studies have shown the parents, the biological parents, are the best parents to raise children. They may have hiccups in their lives. There are programs such as parenting classes and programs that help parents along the line. But whatever they must do, they must help you parents. Right now, I'm experiencing a majority of the cases where they don't help out parents, where they take children they don't rightfully should, they're not in imminent danger, and they take them from your home or from your arms, or even when you're giving birth. There's some horrific stories I've heard. That's not how the child protection system is supposed to be like. I mean, today I was just shared a sad news of a father who abused his children for a long time, and he's just convicted to 7 years of prison. Now, I'm sure the prisoners, when they find out what kind of a man he is, they'll take care of him to be punished severely in prison.
You might want to note he was a foster dad, not a father.
Okay. Yeah, I want you all to know that I have Faye. She's on my phone line. And right now, my phone line is not working at work. So she has my personal number. She is a single mom. She's from Richmond, Kentucky. And right now, she's listening and helping me out with my CPS talk show here. She found this ad, and it was really quite disturbing. It was in California. But Faye, who was once a foster child, went through a lot of issues 5 times in and out of foster care, where she was abused and molested and sex trafficking and raped, and you name it, she experienced it. She was tortured by standing on rocks for long periods of time. And this was by the foster kids themselves of the foster family, and the foster parents is also hurt Faye a lot. And even though she went through all this, she somehow has managed to get a high school education, and then went to college and got a nursing degree. And then she decided to have 2 children, and both her children were taken, but she she had to pick one or the other child to keep. And the question goes, how can social service tell a mother, oh, you're okay with one child, but you're not okay with the other? This makes no sense. They made that decision because one of her children is a boy who's a special needs. Right now, he's in his 20s. I think he was in early 15 when this was happening. But he's a special needs kids. Go ahead, Faye. Did I say it wrong?
No, he was 15 when I got him home. My son was taken at 10 and his sister at 9 weeks old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can imagine a 9-week-old child not to have a mother that she gave out of love. One moment, my son came home and I want to tell him something here.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to talk to my son who just came home. I'm a family man still, even though I'm an old dinosaur. I still have young children and older children. I've been married for, well, total wise, I've been married for 42 years. That's a long time to be a family man. And my first marriage was 10 years and I had one child. And it was a marriage I did not want to end. And like a fool, I hung on to the end. But I met my second wife, who I thought came as a gift of God because in my first wife, I lost my daughter and my wife. And then I met this other person who had a daughter that she had gotten when she was dating. And she has raised her daughter since she was 5. And so I adopted her at 5. And now she's in her mid 30s. And I know what it is to raise a family, take care of a family. I had a solid job before I even talked about marriage. I had a home when in my second marriage, I invited my second wife to my home, and then we got another big home down at the beach. And unfortunately, I had a tragic accident happen to me in 2010 when I lost my job through no fault of my own, and that was hard for me to swallow at age 60. Because I've been working already 45 years then. So I'm going on 60 years of working. And I still feel young and healthy, but I don't know about my latest marriage. This CPS thing has really hurt our marriage, and it's hurt our kids. It's hurt our family. I lost my home because of it. I have a lousy credit. I'm having a hard time getting jobs because of it. CPS, the Child Protection System, will mess you up. And why it called the Child Protection System? There's so many different acronyms in every county and every state. Like in California, it's the Child Protection Services, CPS. In Arizona, it's Department of Children's Services, DCS. But in Kentucky, it's the Cabinet. And I think they have some other acronyms that go with the Cabinet. But each state will have their own acronyms. So when I say CPS, I mean all the child protection systems. That's why I call it CPS. And, as I told you, they're supposed to protect their children. But I'm going back to that case in California that Faye was talking about. Faye, since you're on the phone, and by the way, I didn't finish your story. Faye had to choose between her young child, and I think she was about 3 years old when they took her away from you permanently.
Yeah, when they did the TPR, she was 3.5.
She was 3.5 when they did the to take away your parental rights, your educational parental rights. And that was strictly solely not because Faye had committed, she had been being bad or ashamed of because she was in foster care. She had no choice. She loved her mother, but her mother did drugs, and so she was in and out all the time. And her mother died a horrific death and died young, and so she still loved her mother to the end. And she loves her daughter, but she wants her daughter to know that Faye still loves her as a mother, that it that gave her up. It wasn't her that took her away. So she has reopened the case or tried to get open the case. The case is 13 years old because her son now is in his 20s, and she's still trying to get guardianship of him. But the Richmond, Kentucky police have been very mean towards them. They haunt her all the time. They hide out with drones at her house, and they land on her roof. She's had some nightmarish things, and then she has misfortune. She, her home was sold, and so now, or not sold yet, going to be sold, but there's be a new owner, and then she has no rent. You see, that's one thing a lot of you are probably experiencing. When you rent from someone and that home is sold, usually the renters are told to leave. They're never told to keep on, and you have to fend for yourself. There's a community I found out early part of the week from Natalie from West Hollywood who talked about in Bloomington, California, where all the homes were being bought up, given good prices to the homeowners because Amazon wanted to build an industrial park out there. And all these Latinos, most of them were Latinos, were left homeless, and they were having troubles with CPS because they don't have the money what it takes now. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was a lot cheaper. Like Faye only had a $450 deposit she had to put down. Now it's a minimum $3,000 to move in. And when you're on a fixed income or a low income, or you're trying to straight it out, it's wrong because, our country is in dire need of help. We have so many people that work from week to week. And, it's really hard to get a job out there. And I'm so worried the way the politics are because we really have a rough hill battle. We have a rough hill battle because we need a businessman in office, and we need someone with a proven track record that will help everybody. I want us to return to when gas was affordable. Right now, gas has gone up a nickel. Because a lot of people are taking a position that their candidate to bring the gas down is not going to win. I really do believe it will come through in the end. I just have to pray. But it affects us everywhere. And with CPS being corrupt, I'm pretty sure the new president is not going to do anything about it. They're in cahoots because the candidate running for office was a former attorney, and they're in pals and wows. I know what district attorneys do, and you would not believe how much corruption there is behind our judges, behind district attorneys, and so forth. When you start a CPS case, you're being investigated by the child protection system, but also they're going to send out information to the district attorney who's going to prosecute you for a criminal offense. Not only can you be in CPS hands, you can be also doing a criminal case. You can be charged criminally. It's a misdemeanor. It also could be a felony. A lot of cases is they want to charge you sexually because that's a trade-off card. I found that out. They charge you sex that you did. They don't have to be tell you what you did, but that's enough to make a monkey muck. And then what happens is that they say, oh, we'll let the sex charges go if you plead to the other charges. They're really con artists, and they make you look bad. In fact, we had one person call in, and in turn, the father was somehow sent to prison by the child protection system. I don't know how they did it, but it was an amazing thing. They said somehow because the child protection doesn't do criminal, but they know the department behind the scenes. So I know that there's hanky-panky going on. And so, and the sad part it is so many good people like Faye, myself, other people are being prosecuted to the limit but then they let this guy from California, a former foster care dad, molest children. Were they his children, Faye?
No, they were foster children.
Okay, so did he have any real children himself?
I don't know, Bob. They don't really go into all that detail. It just said that the children in his care were foster children.
And how long had it been going on?
7 years, I guess, since he's had them. I don't know. It doesn't say how long, Bob.
Yeah, I know. It said 7-year sentence, but I just can't believe that CPS. Anyway, let me.
Well, I can believe it. They placed my son in the home with 3 felons and 3 substantiated child abusers and a sex offender. So
that's a nightmare.
I can believe it.
That's a nightmare. That's really bad. That's really bad.
I mean, that's not, uncommon. That's very common in CPS custody for children to be placed with pedophiles and sex offenders and felons. It happens daily.
Well, we got Natalie on, and I forgot to recognize her in the room. I forgot to look at my notices come in. I'm sorry if I don't look right away at my notices. There's a lot of things I have to, because not only do I have to look at the Facebook comments, I have to look at the YouTube comments now, because you can also comment on YouTube. And so there's 2 different places I have to go to. I have to go to YouTube and got to find the show live.
I mean, out of all the homes that I was placed in, I was molested and raped by foster people too. So
Yeah.
And that was in the 80s and 90s, and it's still going on in 2024. So nothing's really changed.
Okay, I found my live podcast.
Republican Ken Calvert was caught profiteering off the housing crisis in California. So when Riverside County families...
I have to somehow figure how to... Okay, I found my live podcast. I have to figure out how to make it...
Republican Ken Calvert was caught profiteering off the housing crisis in California. So when Riverside County families...
I'm sorry for the background. In order for me to see the comments... I have to somehow figure how to... Okay, I found my live podcast. I have to figure out how to make it...
Republican Ken Calvert was caught profiteering off the housing crisis in California. So when Riverside County families...
I'm sorry for the background. In order for me to see the comments... I have to somehow figure how to... Okay, I found my live podcast. I have to figure out how to make it...
Republican Ken Calvert was caught profiteering off the housing crisis in California. So when Riverside County families...
I'm sorry for the background. In order for me to see, I have to somehow figure how to... Okay, I found my live podcast. I have to figure out how to make it...
Ken Calvert was caught profiteering off the housing crisis in California. So when Riverside County families...
I'm sorry for the background. In order for me to see, I have to somehow figure how to... Okay, I found my live podcast. I have to figure out how to... But if I turn down the media, can you still hear me, Faye?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I turned down the media for my live podcast on YouTube. So now I can see it that we have 4 viewers and we have 1 like. And right now we have 24,000 subscribers. That is good. But I wish there's some way to see the comments. Where the comments are here. I would think the comments would come in. Anyway, welcome, Natalie. Thank you very much for coming on my podcast again. Let's see what Natalie said. She said a lot. Boy, you really talking tonight, Natalie. Let me see here. Natalie came on, says hi, and she said hi, Faye and Bob. Thank you. And then we have another person here. I don't know what their name is, but if you could give me your name, city, or county, and your location, would be great. There right now is called Zoe or Zoe Together We Break Production Team. Together We Break Production Team. This is about CPS. If you could give me your name together and where you're from, there is sound. I'm talking. Now, Natalie's talking about the Los Angeles County DCFS. Now, are you talking about the Child Protection System, Natalie? Is this another name for LA County DCFS? Also, Natalie says, yes, the police harass me too. I believe it that the police do funny things. Well, I don't think they do funny things. I think they do mean and honorary things, for their own amusement, maybe. They do funny things at Faye's place. They do funny things at Natalie's place. They sometimes take her trees or bushes and stuff. We need to end the sanctions on Iran and gas prices lower. We need to have the sanctions. Right now, the new administration, which our president candidates are part of, has lifted the sanctions on Iran. And so that's not what we want to do. We want to put the sanctions back in place so the gas prices, would become lower there. Criminal cases refer to CPS court. Yes, sex cases are made up in CPS criminal cases. Well, yeah, sex cases are always used around, but in the criminal part of the justice system, the district attorney will use sex charges as a trading chip to get you to admit to lesser charges so the sex charges disappear. I found that out. They drag you for a year and make promises. I know from firsthand. Now, Natalie also says, yes, Faye is right about felon. What is felon? F-E-L-O, felon. Faye is right about felon and pedophiles in foster care. I agree. I think we all agree about that. And then Natalie says, I'm sorry for what happened, Faye. And what we do in here, Natalie, in the beginning, Faye and I were talking about this unreal case where a foster dad had, what did he do actually to the child, Faye? What did he do to the child?
From different things that I've read, it was like unusual forms of punishment, like chaining them to their beds, not letting them go to the bathroom, defecating and peeing on themselves and laying in it, beating them with metal rods while they were not able to move, starving them, not giving them food, not giving them water. Just a whole list of stuff.
Okay. So we don't know how long that went on, but somehow CPS. Now, was it CPS did the investigation, or did the criminal?
One of the children escaped the home and was able to go get help, and the police came and investigated and called CPS to the home.
Right. So they did a combination of probably CPS was involved, and the police and the district attorney probably went ahead and pressed charges against the man. For
both of them, it was the man and I believe his wife, and I think I think he had older kids, I believe. I
Yeah.
have to go back and read the article.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the heart, Natalie. That's sweet. Now, my podcast, by the way, there are 4 ways you can interact in this podcast. The first way is right now by being in the room. By being in the room, you can use emojis. Those are like hearts, smiley faces, thumbs up. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Faye.
No, I was just saying thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Yeah, those kinds of emojis. Also, you can shower the room with stars if you like the content of the show. And then, furthermore, you want to check if you want to subscribe. I love you to subscribe. So, subscribe to my podcast. And also, if you want to be notified when I'm live, hit the notification button. And you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS, Bob Pace. I have 2 shows a day. My morning show is Fight CPS, Bob Pace. Hang on to children. The other show is um, you listeners in my room are finding this out, that is so hard and difficulty um, with your um, with your case, because the criminal matter. See, Faye was talking about her social worker that had a criminal charge, and it wasn't a misdemeanor. It was that she was criminally charged, and she's allowed to keep her children and work from home. Now, why does a social worker get special privileges? I can guarantee if Faye or I was charged with that criminal charge, we would not be at home. We'd be in jail, and our kids would be probably someplace in foster care somewhere.
Well, get this, she didn't even have to sign a bond to get out or pay a bond. She signed her own self out of jail and didn't have to pay no bond or anything. And she didn't even stay in jail for longer than a couple of hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's hard to swallow.
I'll do it in a minute.
That's really, really hard to swallow.
Keep on everything.
So, Natalie and Faye, let me go over real quickly the 4 ways you can interact in this room. I said the first way is that you're in my room as an invited guest. I'm glad you're here, and you can use emojis, hearts and thumbs up and smiley faces. You can send me stars. Make sure to check me to be join my podcast, and also check to be notified when the podcast is live. Now, if you want to do more to just listen or take notes, I do allow you to type in comments. Now, you can do comments whether you do them on Facebook or in YouTube. I prefer it in Facebook because it's easy to see me. When they do it on YouTube, I have to search for them, which I'm doing right now on there. And so the comments are on Facebook or YouTube, but try to use Facebook. And what you do with your comments, you text them about your comments, whether they're in questions or remarks about your CPS case. You may have just simple questions, or you want to say how bad CPS towards you. Please show me your first name. It's very important you put your first name. Also show me the city or the county your case was in, and the state, in your state. Furthermore, if you're from outside of the United States, you're perfect welcome to be in this podcast. All I ask you is the same thing: your first name, your city, your province or state, and the country that you're in. Because I've had 14 countries from around the world participate in podcasts here. I've had the podcast from Bangladesh, from New Delhi, India, from a country in the Middle East. It was in Arabic, so I couldn't translate the name of the country because I don't speak Arabic. Continent of Africa, I've had Liberia on the west coast in northern Africa. I've had Rwanda on the central east coast near Lake Victoria. And then I had Mozambique on the east coast of Africa, opposite Madagascar. And then I've had the western province of South Africa on the west coast. Then jumping up to Europe, I've had England, Scotland, Wales, part of the United Kingdom. And then I've had Denmark and Sweden. And across the pond, I have North America. I've had Canada in their provinces on both the east and west coast of Canada. I've also had all 50 states that I've talked to, either through comments or on the phone, including Washington, D.C. And I have a good general idea of where the pockets of CPS are roughest, but I hate to tell you all, I've yet only experienced 3 positive social workers being on my show so far. It seems like most of the cases, people are having problems, whether you're in Pennsylvania or you're down in South Carolina or Kentucky or Mississippi or Louisiana or Oklahoma City or so forth. Also, I've also talked to the Indian tribes. I've talked to the Cherokee Nation, Indian tribe in Oklahoma. I've talked to Lakota Sioux and Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota, and I've talked to several other tribes. In fact, I talked to one Indian tribe in Canada. They call their Native Indian people, they call them the First Nation people, the First Nation. Actually, the Indian natives were the first immigrants to North America. If you know, they came in through Alaska, through the land bridge, and settled through Alaska, through Canada, down into the United States, then south, to Mexico, then to Central America, to South America, and then they spread out across the Pacific over to Polynesia. That's a whole different storyline. But anyway, they're our first immigrants. The Vikings were the second immigrants. Then came the Dutch and the English and the French, the Portuguese and the Spanish, Spain and so forth. We had all these other immigrants that came in there. So we are a land of immigrants. But I feel that if we're born here, we are Native Americans. We are Native Americans. And so if you're born here, you're a Native American. Your ancestry may be different, but you're still a Native American. Now we go south, and I talked to people in Mexico, and then down in South America to Grenada, on the east coast, east of Venezuela, north of Brazil, then across the Pacific to the land down under Australia. And I talked to them on the east coast, the Gold Coast, around the Sydney area, and then down the south coast of Australia to Melbourne to the state of Victoria. So I'm, interested in anybody that has a CPS question to ask. We're here to help. We want to make sure that people feel comfortable in this room and respect one another. So also try to tell me about your case. And what's usually is best about your case is how your family's structured. Are you husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, lovers, a partnership, or do you have a single parent? Are you both parents involved? Are there different parents for different children? So that's how your family makeup is, and the ages of the children and the sexes of the children. Then how were the children taken? Did you give them to them? Did you take them from your home? Did you go to the office? I want to interest in how your children are taken and where you're on your case. Are you at the beginning, the middle, the end? You're at the dependency court hearing. Where are you at on your case? So give me all the information. You can type it. It really will help. And we don't have to play a lot of ping pong back and forth. Now, a third way of interacting with this podcast is be a guest on my show. And this past week, I made it more beneficial to be a guest than ever because I'm going to give you free time with Mr. Davis. And you probably say, what do you mean free time? Well, if you can be a guest on my podcast, let me put that up right now. Okay. To schedule to be a guest on my podcast, all you do is contact our show producer. Her name is Grace. Let me get it there. I thought I had it here, but somehow it got moved again. Oh, boy. I'll find it here. I thought I had it here, but I don't. Well, somehow I'll have to look for it again. It's disappeared. To be a guest on our podcast, you're going to contact our show producer. Her name is Grace, and you're going to email her at grace@vincentwdavis.com. That's grace@vincentwdavis.com. You put in there one of my 14 shows that you want to be on, and she'll contact you via the email and give you a link to be on there. I broadcast it on StreamYard, and I use YouTube to broadcast. And so she'll give you the link for you, the StreamYard link to get on. And if you get knocked off, hang on to the link because you can reuse it again. So she also explained to you what to do as a guest and not, like no eating on the podcast and no smoking. Also, we don't use the names of children, judges, or social workers. She also talked to you about lighting and your sound. Try to use your computer instead of a phone, but if the phone is all you have, that's okay. I can have up 9 of you as my guests. I love to have you all because it's nice to have people talking about their case and helping one another. Now, it's very important that you can be on my case because I am going to give you a chance to talk to Mr. Davis for free. Yes, you heard me right. Right now, he and I have come up with a 15-minute private consultation with Mr. Davis. Once you're on my podcast or you talk to me on the phone, and my phone right now is out of order. I'm still trying to get it fixed. Once you're on my talk on my phone or that you've been a guest, all you would have to do is that I will turn your name and email to Vincent Davis, and they'll schedule a private consultation for 15 minutes for no charge. That means you can ask anything you want for 15 minutes. It'd be the best 15 minutes you can spend. So I have lots of options that I've come up with. So if you're a guest, you get a free time to be on the podcast. And not a free time on the podcast, you get a free time to talk to Mr. Davis. And anybody you can speak to, he's the best to speak to because as you heard him at the beginning of the show with his presentation, he's been a child protection attorney for 35 years. He's fought CPS. He's gotten children back. He's well schooled in the area of juvenile family dependency law. Juvenile family dependency law. He's well schooled in that. He's a trial attorney, and he will help you. He does a lot of freebie stuff to help out. So he does care about you. He's in Arcadia, California, south of LA, but he has cases in LA, cases in Orange County, cases in San Bernardino, cases in Northern California, and right now he's working on a case in Oklahoma, but he will do other states. He'll go to other states there. So, he is the best. You can't go wrong there about talking to him. So right now I'm offering a 15-minute free of him by just being a guest on my podcast. So please email Grace at vincentwdavis.com and tell her you want to be on my podcast, my Sunday podcast, Saturday podcast, morning or evening. Those are my times. And by the way, every Sunday I go to church, so my podcasts, instead of being at 10 o'clock on Sunday, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 2 hours earlier. And so I go to the master. Also, this being the football month in high school, it's Friday Night Lights, and I go to my son's football school and watch every Friday night. I have a football game. This last Friday I went to, so my show came on 4, but it varies from week to week. I'll let you know when it gets closer. So, you can be a guest. The last way to interact with my podcast is to call me at my phone number. The problem being is that right now my phone is disconnected, so we're still trying to work that going. And I just noticed that, okay, so right now I have Natalie Faye, because she can call on my own private line, and she can do that. So Natalie, and Faye, and then we have a new person there. What was her name? The new person. She didn't have a name, but she had a motivation she was trying to do. Together we break production. All right. I have no idea what Together We Break Production's about. It's a YouTube, Facebook, but welcome to Together We Break Production. I just need to know where you're from and what your CPS case is about on that. Okay. Natalie asked, what happens if the social worker was in jail? She just had her trial, so that's all we know so far, Natalie. Zoe, who is Zoe? No, that's not her name. We don't know her name. We just know her name is Together We Break Production. She hasn't introduced her name or what city or state she's from. She may be from a country for all I know. But anyway, Natalie, is there something you like me to talk about? Faye, is there something you'd like me to talk about? Do you want me to do the Cora questions?
Sure.
Okay, Natalie agrees with you. Wow, you girls are in sync tonight. Let me go to the Cora. Cora is a application which you ask them questions and the answer, and I have my Cora filtered to show CPS. So let me go to my Cora here and see what I have here. There we go. Okay, here's Core Digest, fairly new there. Okay, here's a question here. This person adopted a foster kid and got very close to her over the years. Now her parents want to take her back and she is confused. What do I do if I don't want to lose her? Now, there is an answer by Aurora Lynn, who is a PhD in anthropology and linguistics at the University of Texas at Austin. And she answered this question. If you're fostering, CPS is forbidden from sharing your address and other personal info with the bio parents. Not that it doesn't even happen, but it's not legal. See what it further says here. If you legally adopt a child, that means the biological parents had their parental rights terminated. They have no right to contact with the child, though the child may choose to contact them after they turn 18. If they insist, you can charge them with harassment or even get a restraining order for them to stay away from your kiddo. This may seem harsh, but it takes a lot for someone to actually have their parental rights terminated. Well, I don't think it takes a right. I don't think so either. You agree with that, Faye? What do you think, Faye?
It doesn't take a lot. It didn't take a lot. It took literally an allegation of a child being alone, unattended at 10 years old in a neighborhood, and me missing a doctor's appointment to get my parental rights terminated.
Wow. Now, this person is answering the question. The anthropologist says this may seem harsh, but it takes a lot, he says, for someone to actually have their parental rights terminated. I agree with Faye, though, and I think Natalie will agree with me too. Once that happens, many parents, of course, feel regret, but then there's not a whole lot they can legally do about it at that point. So that was the answer by the anthropologist, a PhD.
Well, first off, if you're a foster parent, and she said she was a foster parent, right? Not an adoptive parent, but a foster parent.
Wait a minute. If you're looking for CPS,
Bob, I can't hear you.
I know I'm trying to read real fast. I was trying to reread it again. It was foster parents that adopted the child.
She said she adopted it.
The foster parents is, but the person here answered the question was saying that once the termination of rights, then the biological parents need to stay away and forget about their child.
Yeah, I know that. But what I'm trying to find out, Bob, is when you read it, I didn't hear that she adopted it. So can you find that for me?
Sure can. And it wasn't the person answering the question. It was, see, if you're fostering, CPS is forbidden from sharing your address with bio parents. That means that happened. If you legally adopt a child, yeah, it didn't say if they're a foster parent or not. It just says if you legally adopt a child.
No, I wasn't talking about the answers. I was talking about the question that you read.
The question was, is that they adopted a foster care kid and got very close to her over the years. Now her parents want to take her back. So she was a foster kid who got adopted over.
It says in the post that she adopted the child?
It says, I adopted a foster kid and got very close to her over the years.
If you adopt a foster child, then the parents can't just come and take the child back. There's a whole legal process that they would have to go through in order to do that. And they would have to have attorneys, and a judge, would have to make that decision. It wouldn't even be up to the adopted parent.
Correct. And that's what the PhD in anthropology, Aurora Lynn, was trying to answer.
In some states, it is possible to get a child back after your rights have been terminated. But it also says in some states, if the child's already adopted, that's much harder to do.
Yeah. What happens if your state of California says 12 is when you can be emancipated? Could a foster child that has been adopted by somebody, either a parent or not a foster parent, if they want to be emancipated from their adopted parents, could they do so?
You can emancipate yourself from any parents.
Right.
Adoptive parents or your natural parents.
So children can hear this. So if they don't like their situation, they can get out of it. Well,
it's not just as simple as saying, hey, I want to be emancipated, and you get emancipated. When you file a petition to the court to be emancipated from your guardian or foster parent, adoptive parent, grandparents, parents, what have you, it's a whole legal proceeding that you have to go through. The judge has to make sure that you, at the age that you are capable of making sound decisions for yourself, meaning able to care for yourself, able to pay your own bills, able to work, able to hold a job, and all the things that it takes to take care, of yourself, being out on your own with no help.
Here's another.
Go ahead. If you can't prove that to a judge, then he's not going to emancipate you.
Right. Here's another question. Is it okay to warn a 7-year-old that they may not see their mother if court goes badly? Now, the person that answers this question, her name is Blair. Didn't say what background this person had, but She said, "My heart just dropped when I read the question. It sounds like it's going to make the child unhappy to not see their mother. But I gather this because you use the word warn and you describe it as it going badly. This kind of situation that makes my blood boil. If a child is going to suffer emotionally and mentally, the child should not be forced into complete parent alienation. The child it should at least be able to see her mother supervised. A little girl who is separated from her mother forcefully will suffer emotional and mental stress. Was that true about your little daughter?"
Well, yeah, it does. It does cause that. But my daughter was 9 weeks old when she was taken, so I'm sure there was some level of trauma she went through, because she was placed with a whole new family and different voices, different smells, and everything else. She probably sensed the difference. But she's been with them since she was 9 weeks old, and our case didn't end until she was 3.5. So that was really the only family she really knew.
That being said, don't warn the child. You may cause unneeded stress on the child, unless this is a figure thing. The child doesn't need to know. So, all want to speak to her mother. She will feel insecure and she'll become anxious. I hope court doesn't go badly for her mother, go badly for either. My mother was a bad mother, just complete mean and evil. But I loved her. I loved her more than she ever deserved. Sounds like
Yeah.
yours. I lived
Yeah.
with my grandma, but I could not see my mom whenever she had times for me between her drugs and her men. It was always my choice, and I know that if the choice was ever taken away from me, I would have been devastated. She was a poor excuse for a mom who never put me before herself, but she was my mom, and I just wanted to keep her in my life.
Yep.
That sounds like you.
Yep.
Yeah, Faye had a similar situation when she grew up as a foster child.
My mom was all I'd ever known, So even with all of the trauma that came along with that, and all the abuse and all the, alcohol and drugs, and the men and the domestic violence, I still loved her. I still wanted to be a part of her. I still wanted her to be proud of me. I still wanted her attention, and affection. And of course, I never really got that, but it didn't mean I didn't yearn for it.
Well, here's another question. We'll move on from that one. I'm currently fighting a CPS case in California. How can I file a complaint against the worker that removed my children? Now, Laura, who worked as a social service worker, said, "I don't believe you can individually sue the worker. The worker cannot remove a child from your custody unless she can prove substantial risk to a minor is true. This usually means mom uses illegal drugs and or has been undiagnosed mental health problems. They must have had evidence to prove the case in court. A police report frequently starts a CPS case. I believe the agency can be sued, but I doubt you prevail. By the way, you know that a public defender and attorney will represent you in the case. It's no charge." This is coming from a social worker. "If you're not guilty of serious neglect or abuse, you have nothing to..." This is terrible. This is a social worker's answer to this thing. Nothing to worry about a public defender. Okay. Well, if you haven't done anything wrong, you'll be free. Right. Did you do anything wrong, Faye?
I missed some doctor's appointments for my kids.
I'm serious. Something really.
I was on bed rest.
Well, you didn't do anything. And like Natalie, did you do anything wrong? I mean, Natalie said she had a letter written by somebody that was crazy. They thought she wrote the letter, but she made some poor choices. Well, it's now 9 o'clock. Excuse me, it's 8 o'clock at night, Pacific Standard Time. It's midnight on the East Coast, right? Midnight. Okay, so you guys are 4 hours ahead of me. Wow. So it's late for Faye, but I want to thank Faye for answering and for sharing her background, her thoughts. Also want to thank Natalie, the same thing. Sharon, Natalie and Faye have turned out to be beautiful people in this room that will help you. And if you come back again tomorrow, they may be here. It's so nice to have these great people here try to relate their stories and what's happened, because CPS cannot be trusted. That last question was answered by a social worker that said, oh, you're lucky to have a court-appointed attorney that won't cost you money, and if you're not guilty, you'll be fine. Well, that is not the case. I was not guilty, and
you're guilty off the jump with CPS cases.
Right.
She's just so delusional.
Yes, and it's interesting with those questions. Well, anyway, I want to thank you all. I want to tell you good night. I'll see you tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, for my podcast. Please bring your questions and your concerns and come again. And God bless you all. And thank you for the emojis. And, keep fighting for your kids. Don't give up. We're here to help. So there'll be a short little speech by my attorney. He's going to tell you about upcoming podcasts that you could go to on Saturday at 10 o'clock. Good night, Faye. Good night, Natalie. And good night, people. Bob Pace signing off.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out. Join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.